All right, everyone, welcome back to the fourth and final issue and part to the Transformers animated movie series that I'm doing. These were meant to just be two videos, two issues each, but I started talking more and more about the comics and the movie that they're based on, adding in the words, explaining what they're like missing. I've seen these movies so many times that I can just recite almost 100% of the movie. So that's what I've been doing. So the videos tend to be longer for each issue, so I've been separating them a little bit. So we ended with issue number 3. Ultra Magnus was attacked. Like the Autobots were separated. Cup and Hot Rod and those guys were off doing one thing. Ultra Magnus, RC Springer were doing other things. And they all finally reunited, but not before the Decepticons blew up Ultra Magnus, killed him for a brief moment, and stole the Matrix. So now it's like it's gone, and if the Matrix is gone, they have no hope. What are they to do? They still have to fight Unicron. That's going to Cybertron. So with it, all hope. And so they're kind of recapping that here. And Hot Rod turns, it's like, no! Galvatron has it. Where's Galvatron? Where is he? Like, Hot Rod's like, where's fucking Galvatron? Like, I'm ready. Like, let's fucking take him out. He's ready. Like, he's stepping up. Like, he's just like this young dude, Hot Rod is, but he's kind of like stepping up as more of a mature guy. Redguard chimes in, and the answer is Unicron. Then we have to destroy Unicron. Yes, sir. Act now. Destroy Unicron. Kill the Grand Duba. Eliminate even the toughest stain. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Sail Mustang. Rush right on down to test drive the latest model with no obligation. So, Redguard and the Junkions were introduced in the last issue and the last part. They talked television. They were kind of silly. New improved Junkion planet is sleek, sexy import with turbo handling. And he presses these buttons and the ship comes up out of the wreckage. And then all the Junkions, there's hundreds and dozens of them, they just kept coming out of nowhere. Like, yeah, destroy Unicron, kill the Grand Poobah, eliminate even the toughest stain. So they're just reciting that. So they all jump into the Junkion ship and the Quintesson ship that Hot Rod and Cup took, and they're blasting off. Like, now they have a little bit of an army. Like, let's fucking go. So you go to Galvatron. He's with Unicron. He has the Matrix with a chain around his neck. He's like, answer me. See this? The Matrix. I now possess that which you most fear. Unicron's like, kind of roars. You will do my bidding or taste my wrath. So he tries to unleash the power of the Matrix. Ultra Magnus tried to do it in the last issue, last portion, and Ultra Magnus couldn't do it. And, the Matrix is supposed to light our darkest hour, and fucking Magnus can't do it. You think Galvatron can do it? He's trying to pry it open with his fingers. And Unicron says, you underestimate me, Galvatron. And he starts, pieces start coming up, lights coming out. He's transforming on a monstrous planetary scale. And you see, these arms come out, these feet come out, these huge hands come out. And he says, for a time, I considered sparing your wretched little planet Cybertron. So he's like, he might not have taken out Cybertron. He's like, I don't need it. You were doing my bidding. He's like, but now you shall witness its dismemberment. So there's fucking Unicron in all his fucking glory. He has these devil horns and these devil wings almost. So he transformed from a planet to a planet-sized robot. He flies over to fucking Cybertron. Galvatron's hanging on. He's like, no! And Unicron, he brings up his hand and just slams it down. Quakes and tremors and everything is happening. Things are falling, debris and everything. Shockwave, he's I don't know, is he number 2? Who's in charge? Shockwave commands an army too. He's a Decepticon. But he says, Decepticons were under attack, scramble! So all these Decepticons on Cybertron they fly out and they start shooting at Unicron. They don't know better. They don't know what's going on. So Unicron is standing on the planet basically at this time, and he's just swatting away these little Decepticons. He swallows them as they come crashing inside his mouth. Galvatron, he's on him. So he transforms into his cannon. He starts shooting Unicron right in the face, but it doesn't do anything. Like, these things are insects. And but Unicron comes and picks him up and like swallows him, just drops him in his mouth. So now Galvatron is somewhere in the bowels of Unicron. And then the Autobots are in the two ships and they're coming in. I said, I don't believe it. And Cup, in the movie, Hot Rod says, doesn't this remind you of anything, Cup? Because he's always commenting like, oh, this reminds me of this time I did this, or this and this. Doesn't this remind you of anything? He's like, nope, I've never seen anything like this before. What happened to Moonbase 2? Daniel asks. Where's my dad? Hot Rod, badass Hot Rod. That's what we're gonna find out. And he like puts like steps on the gas. They see these two ships coming in. Unicron looks and he like breathes this fire or something, and it hits one. And resist fire, rain, and corrosion for up to 5 years. Satisfaction guaranteed. Retgar's saying that as he's piloting. And like all the Junkions repeat, oh, your money back, as they're like trying to repair the ship. And they somewhere they show that. Oh no, that's later. Never mind. But then he shoots. Unicron shoots at the Quintesson ship that Hot Rod and these guys are piloting. Hits it, knocks him out. But Hot Rod is able to get into the pilot seat and take control enough to fly right into Unicron's eye, bursting in. And again, in the movie, there's a cool 80s rock song that we've heard a few times. Dare to keep all your dreams alive, which is like the first song when we were introduced to Hot Rod at the beginning of the movie, at the beginning of the book. And that music starts playing here too. And so they go crashing into his eye. The Autobots, they're falling out of the ship somehow, and Unicron's like, oh, fuck my eye. And they all fall, but Hot Rod lands on one of these spikes, so he's separated from the rest of the Autobots. Like, where's Hot Rod? I don't know, but I hope they didn't get him, and these weird tentacle claw things come out of these holes and start coming after them. Like, quick, this way! So they run down this tunnel, and these things start chasing them. So Hot Rod, alone and by himself, that's what alone means, John. He wakes up, he gets off that spike, and he falls down a pit, and he lands. And he starts like crawling away, and he's wandering by himself in the innards of Unicron. And he's looking for people, but then he sees a light off in the distance. Right there. And he recognizes it. It's like, it's the Matrix, but it's still with Galvatron. So this is the first time Galvatron and Hot Rod have like seen each other. He says, it will do you no good, Autobot. It cannot be opened. Not by a Decepticon, he responds. Like it or not, we are allies now against a common foe. But Unicron still has control over Galvatron, starts torturing him. Destroy him, Galvatron, now, or you yourself shall be obliterated. He says, of course, my master. So he looks up and he starts shooting at Hot Rod. And Hot Rod's like, oh, fuck, and he takes off. He runs off as Galvatron is shooting. He says, puny Autobot, you lack even Prime's courage. So more of the fight outside of Unicron. The Dinobots come swooping in and they transform, and Grimlock says, me, Grimlock, kick butt, and he like slams into his ass. They all land on his butt in some form or another, slams it with its tail, shoots missiles into it, like burns fire, a huge hole. This Stegosaurus one was not in the movie. That's new. And then, like, Unicron like reaches down with his hand and grabs at them, basically grabbing his ass, but the Dinobots all like are able to dodge and like fly away, and Grimlock says, "Me, Grimlock, need new strategy." So, back with the RC and Springer and those guys, and they're running, but fucking stupid Daniel falls and trips. He's like, "Help!" So they come back to save him. They're shooting the tentacles, and they hit a pipe or something, and all this water comes rushing in. And they try and get away, but they're just like, they're carried away by this flood. And you can see there's these two tunnels that separate them, and Daniel goes into one and the rest go into another. And where Daniel goes, he goes into this area where there's this huge molten lava pit, like with an acid tank, you know, with this cover, and it's holding these transformers here, and it's dropping them in, and it's like basically digesting them. It's probably stomach. It's giving Unicron more power. So Daniel, he gets out of the water, but he sees, look, there's Spike, there's Bumblebee, the guys that were swallowed in the moon bases. They're going to be dropped into the acid. And they're like, Daniel, what can I do? Knock down the acid cover. How? Blast it, son. How? I don't have a gun. Use your exosuit. So he presses a couple of buttons, and it's not working at first, and Spike yells at him, "Hurry!" But then he hits the right thing, transforms, and it hits these pillars or something, and destroys it. And half of the cover comes down as they drop him in. And Daniel's like, "No, Dad!" But it worked. There's Cliffjumper, Jazz, Bumblebee, and Spike. It's like, "Daniel, you did it." He's like, "Yeah, I did it." So it goes back to Galvatron, and he's looking for Hot Rod. "Come out, Autobot. We all must die someday." And he comes out of nowhere. "Not today!" Galvatron punches him in the back, and he transforms. He goes driving off, but he comes swooping around, and he comes crashing back into him. So Hot Rod's like, "I'm not fucking running from you. I'm playing it smart." Galvatron lands, and he starts shooting with his cannon. Shoom, shoom. And he's dodging it as best he can. It doesn't really show it here, but Hot Rod is coming at him, and he puts his high beams on, and he blinds Galvatron in the movie so he can't see, and he crashes into him, but Galvatron is fucking strong, and he's able to hold on to him and force him to transform back into his robot mode. And he starts, like, choking him. He's like, "I will crush you with my bare hands. Die, Autobot." It goes out to a scene, Unicron still fighting with the Transformers outside. Ket like grabs onto the Junkion ship, starts crushing it, and like the it's starting to come in on him. But then he takes it and throws it, and you can see here all the pieces of the ship go like spreading out. Goes back inside, and Galvatron's still choking him out. "First Prime," he says. "Then Ultra Magnus, and now you. It's a pity you Autobots die so easily, or I might have a sense of satisfaction now." And then, in the movie, the music, Prime's music, "You Got the Touch," dun, 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 that just, that comes in out of nowhere. And it says, "You got the touch, dun, dun," and he breaks it off. "You got the power. Yeah!" So Hot Rod is able to like steal back the matrix of leadership. And I don't know if he was supposed to do this or if like the matrix is only going to work for him, but he holds it in a correct way, and you hear Optimus Prime's voice out of nowhere. And it says, "Arise, Rodimus Prime, Optimus." So when he does that, Hot Rod is just kind of a regular, like smaller-ish kind of transformer, but he grows in size. So now he's on the level of an Optimus Prime, a Megatron, a Galvatron. Galvatron sees this. He says no, and he starts shooting, but it just deflects off of him. It doesn't even hurt him, but it does hit the Matrix out of his hand, and he goes tumbling by. And Rodimus Prime now, I always consider him as Hot Rod, but he points at him. He's like, "This is the end of the road, Galvatron. After all is said and done, you never walk, you never run." That's the music that kicks in. It's fucking badass. It doesn't sound cool when I do it. It was awesome in the movie, and I'll fight anyone who says otherwise. And he runs and he tackles on to Galvatron, and they wrestle for a little bit, but Hot Rod, Rodimus, he easily gets the better of him. He picks Galvatron up and he fucking throws him. He throws him so hard he bursts through Unicron out into space. The music is pumping out. The music is still going. And he says here, "Rusty, get out of here." Always the wrong time. He says, "Now light our darkest hour," and he's able to open the matrix of leadership. He pulls it apart so the casing shows the inner light. At one point in the show, they call it the wisdom of the ages or something like that. They talk about it, explain more what the Matrix does and is in later episodes. It's like the culmination of all the knowledge and power of the Transformers, something like that. And it explodes with energy. And the energy is just blasting out, and it is fucking up Unicron like no other. And it's, he's perfectly fine. And he starts blowing up from the inside. It shows these guys, they were fighting those hook and tentacle things, but the whole, his body is exploding everywhere. So they're able to get away from those tentacle whatever. And they see Spike and Daniel and Springer. "What's going on? No time to answer that now. Let's get out of here." And in the movie, for some reason, Unicron starts tearing a hole in his own body. His hands come through for a second. So there's now this gigantic hole. So that's how they're going to get out. And they say, and look, and down this tunnel as this guy running towards them, and there's this ominous explosion or fire following him. And here is fucking Rusty, go away for now. And here's Hot Rod now as Rodimus, and he says, "Autobots, transform and roll out." And he transforms into this truck kind of thing instead of a car. I like the car better, but makes sense. He's a leader. And they all transform and they follow him out. In the movie, Cup says, "I knew you had potential, lad." So they go charging out, but instead of the hole that he ripped inside himself, they charge outside, crash through his other eye. How they got there, I don't know. And then Unicron is just "You cannot destroy my destiny." And then when he says that, his head blows off and goes flying off. And then the rest of his body just fucking explodes. Boom. So Unicron is destroyed. The day is saved. After that, the end is pretty abrupt in this and the movie. It goes to Cybertron and Ultra Magnus. Where was he? He did nothing in this entire issue. He got destroyed in the movie and this book. He just kind of is removed from the final act. But here he is. He's there. And so Hot Rod is now Rodimus. He's the leader. He has the Matrix leadership. That's why when he caught it, the Matrix responded to him. It's his destiny. Some people, most people, like Optimus Prime better, and I probably do ultimately, but Rodimus Prime and Hot Rod were always some of my favorites. And, he can't really compare to Optimus Prime on an iconic level, but there's something about him that I just always related to, gravitated towards, and I always liked this version of him leading the Autobots and Transformers. And he said he's having a speech. Let this mark the end of the Cybertronian wars as we march forward to a new age of peace and happiness. Till all are one, he says. That's kind of I like that, like, saying. End of the Cybertronian wars. That didn't happen. The Cybertronian wars go on forever, it seems, and continued. And so he says, till all are one, and then they all kind of like put their hands together and they all scream, till all are one. And that's the end of the movie. That's the end of the book. What's kind of cool is like Unicron's head was like in orbit of Cybertron. It's like a moon orbiting Cybertron after this. So there it is. They talk about, I guess the main Transformer movie hasn't come out yet at this point. 2006. I don't know what time the Transformer movies came out. Star Trek comics, those are never really too great, ever, are they? We're not going to look at all this. That's funny to me. G.I. Joe and his Kung Fu grip. So, there it is. Thank you for watching this with me, for taking this journey. I had a tremendously fun time doing this. I did all of these back to back to back to back, so my voice is kind of like getting lost. I'm hoarse now, but I love this movie. These comics don't really do it justice, but it was a fun way for me to go over the movie and explain, show my appreciation and love for it, as opposed to just watching the movie and doing commentary, which Rob and I probably will do. I'm not going to lie. So, what did you think of Transformers? What are some of your favorite moments? What are some of your favorite memories? Do you love this movie as much as I do? I know there's been a lot of different versions of Transformers throughout the ages. Can't go wrong with the original and like the second generation with Hot Rod and these guys. Those are always fun. Beast Wars, the cartoon, is so good. Probably I like it better than the original Transformers in a sense. That might be blasphemy to some. But give me your thoughts on Transformers in this movie and these comics in general. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Till all are one.